hell was this?
I've played a lot of card games over my 30 plus years on this earth. I mean, a lot. And with all my experience, I think I can finally speak the truth. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Might be the worst card game of all time. No,
Worst.
not that one. That one's usually fine. This one. The very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. Let's talk about it.
What? I've never heard of that. The very first?
Most Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans have never heard of these cards, and there's a good reason for that. Imagine, if you will, a standard 52 card deck to represent the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! From the start of Kazuki Takahashi's manga series to today. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just about 26 years old now, so each card represents about half a year. But today's topic is a true blip on the radar. Almost lost to time entirely. Just one single card. This 6-month run from April to October in 1998 is the infamous Toei Animation run of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, known by many fans somewhat jokingly as Season 0, since it's disconnected from the main series. I feel like a lot of people have heard of Season 0 or even watched it, but a whole lot less have heard of Season 0 of the card game, the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game made by Bandai. We've already done a whole video on the first chapters of Yu-Gi-Oh! But here's the Cliff Notes version.
Season 0 Yu-Gi-Oh! Was better. In terms of, like, him being a sociopath. I love that shit. I loved it. Yo, where is my freaking gummy worms, bro? I know I did not just finish this second bag of gummy worms. There it is, mother fricker. Get over here. Let me get over here.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Started as a horror battle manga, with each chapter featuring a different game and a different unique dark punishment handed down to a cheater or evildoer by the king of games himself, Dark Yugi. An early chapter had a card game parody of Magic the Gathering, and it was by...
You said, ain't you supposed to be losing weight? Excuse me, sir. These are fat-free. Fat-free gummy worms.
Far the most popular with readers, so they brought the villain from that episode back for his own mini-arc. And that mini-arc was so popular that they gave the card game its own mega-arc, Duelist Kingdom. And that arc was so big and popular...
Oh, the My Valentine Booba? Got me bricked up a little bit. Got me bricked up a little bit.
That by that point, the series cut almost all of its variety content and became predominantly about the cards. And it's right during this weird transition period for Yu-Gi-Oh! In early 1998, that Yu-Gi-Oh! Launched its first 27-episode anime adaptation from Toei. It's kind of an awkward launching point, because they still adapted a chunk of that original story and its variety, but then they also added more kaiba, more filler, and more card games than the original story had. Armed with the knowledge that a card game was going to be a bigger part of the franchise long term, Toei partnered with Bandai.
So that's where you saw the Dark Magician. It's not purple here. It's the blue Dark Magician.
Launched its first 27-episode anime adaptation from Toei. It's kind of a variety, but then they also added more kaiba, more filler, and more card games than
Who's
the
blue
original.
lady? I don't know.
Long term, Toei partnered with Bandai to create merch to promote their show. And so, that first Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game was born. Exodia, help us all. Like all Bandai cards of this era...
No, I could imagine now if you somehow managed to find these cards in pristine condition and you were to grade them, wouldn't these cards go for like so much? Because these are the first of the first of Yu-Gi-Oh! These are like the holy grail of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
This Yu-Gi-Oh! Card set was pulled straight out of their ass. Literally, the Bandai card-ass vending machine system. No, I don't care how old I am. They gave it the English AS.
You said it's so hard to get the OG cards in good condition. There's some on eBay.
As spelling, and that is always going to be funny. Bandai's card-ass machines go all the way back to 1988, and it feels like every major Japanese media property had a run of products through them at some point. Even Pokemon's first run of card-ass cards came before their official trading card game. So, here they are. The Bandai card-ass Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Considering that there's only a tiny bit of existing lore to go off of, these first Yu-Gi-Oh cards actually resemble the cards from the manga pretty accurately. It's kind of hard to show without feeling them for yourself, but these cards just feel cheap. They are very thin and very flimsy. These were not made to be shuffled and dealt often like a regular card game card. Unlike the Toei anime, which used a big cringy M and W for the card game backs to match the card game's original name, Monsters and Wizards, these cards resemble the mangas, even down to the white border around on the back. The card copyright actually changed from year to year, which is another non-competitive card game choice, where obviously you'd want the back of every card to look the same. Due to the size of those standard card-ass slots, this is also one of the first card games to pioneer what we now know of as the Japanese trading card size, which has a slightly smaller form factor than games like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. There's also some funnier limitations, such as every single type of card having the same color face, which, I mean, I guess that's manga accurate? Go a little deeper though and you'll start to notice some big differences. For example, they do the Pokemon thing by having playable character cards. These designs are straight from the anime, which gives you classic gems like Seto Kaiba, complete with his iconic Toei green hair. We also have beloved Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist, Miho, with her own card.
Who the fuck is Miho?
That Season 0 anime took a character who appeared in just one single manga chapter and decided that she should be a main part of the squad too, as a ditzy friend and Tristan, aka Honda's love interest. Speaking of Tristan
W.
He gets my favorite character card. Since he does not know the rules, he is always defeated in battle. Oh, right. The rules. The biggest difference between these cards and most of the card-ass collector cards that came before it is that it has gameplay. Instead of simply printing pictures of all the characters on the cards and making it a collectible and calling it a day, they attempted, like the story, to make it something that you can actually play with other people. Now, imagine that you're distributing card game singles via a vending machine instead of regular sealed product. And Nation...
Yeah, that whole thing makes no sense. Because you're distributing... The show is encouraging you to play the card game with a deck. But you can only get one card at a time out of these vending machines, and each card is 100 yen. I don't know how much money was 100 yen back in that time, but you can imagine it must have been pretty expensive to literally... This is $1 a card, but $1 back in the day used to get you a lot of shit. Like, I remember when I was a kid. Remember back in the day, for anybody in the chat who does remember, like millennials, that with $1 you could get yourself like 2 bags of chips, one of those barrel juices, and like some candy. With $1 you used to get a lot of shit back in the day. Not anymore. You said, I mean, it's still $1, but I mean, $1 back in the day was worth a lot more than now.
Nationwide internet isn't a thing yet. You wouldn't have an easy place to give people a rule book, so your only option, I guess, would be to write the rules on the cards themselves. Oh my god, they wrote the rules of the game on all the cards! What?
Really?
I'm just dumbfounded. It sounds truly unbelievable, but yes, rules. Collect them all. Almost every card has one of the game's 13 rules written on it. Imagine, you gotta keep a stack of all 13 rules lumped together like some kind of maniacal modern-day Moses. I know the Tristan card says he doesn't know all the rules, but I'm gonna be honest with you.
I can't blame him.
Anybody really does.
Yeah, I can't blame him for not knowing the rules.
Here's all 13 rules in the Bandai Yu-Gi-Oh game, abridged. Both players use the same number of cards. Draw 5 cards to start the game. Every turn you can play a monster to start a battle. You compare your attack to the opposing monster's defense, and if your number's higher, they're destroyed. But if your defense is lower than their attack, you're destroyed too. After a battle, draw a card and end your turn. Play until both players' decks are empty. You can play any spell, trap, or equip card face down, and you can activate them anytime during a battle, then discard them.
What is that,
At
the
end of
kunai
the
whip
game,
chain?
Count the stars up for every monster you destroyed. Player with the most stars wins. And even if only one of your decks is empty, keep playing until both of them are. And that's it. That's everything. Any other question you might have, you just gotta make it up by...
Shoma, where are you? Seasons, fall, winter, spring. Oh my god, that's so funny.
yourself. I know there are a lot of people that feel like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become too complicated.
I'm sorry,
but
man.
this is so ridiculously in the opposite direction. Look at a regular card game rulebook. You've got a lot to explain. As I briefly described this game in the past, it's just fancy war. Big number wins. It barely qualifies to be a game of any strategy or thought. And on top of that, now that we have a game with rules, the end result is pure chaos. Attempting to play this game only creates more questions than answers. Like, how do you decide what you and your opponent need to have equal deck size? Are there no card limits for multiple copies of a card? Because stuff like Yami Yugi just beats everything. Plot armor. You only draw one card after a battle, so what do you do if your hand is all spells and traps? This game has Exodia and the auto win condition if you have its 5 pieces in a game where you play until you've drawn your whole deck. Speaking of multi-part monsters, eat your heart out, Pokemon V Union! Over 20 years ago, Bandai Yu-Gi-Oh! Was giving us the iconic multi-card combo card, Blue Eyes White Dragon 3-body connection. But also, what's the point of combining 4 cards when later they would just print the thing as 1? Also, this attack might be the biggest overkill of all time. You assemble the combo with Wicked Chain, and then you can attack 3 times consecutively, 1 for each head. No,
What?
I'm sorry, that would make too much sense. You can attack 8 times consecutively. ESPN, The Oat Show. And what's stopping you from playing just one level 1 monster card and a bunch of removal? Guaranteeing your opponent will never earn more stars than you. There's also a ton of cards that are straight up not explained. Like Elegant Egotist, which just vaguely says, transform a specific monster. Or Cyber Shield, which equips to a female-like card illustration. I don't think there's a way where we can qualify that. But also technically, Blue Eyes White Dragon's original form, no way! I'm done overthinking this. This is over. This is not a serious card game. There was no organized play, no tournament reports, and it was clearly not made with any kind of serious competitive play effort. At face value, this game existed as a very loose set of guidelines where kids could then take the cards and make up their own rules as time went on. As a whole, it's just so strange to me that they decided to not make it like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I get it, early Yu-Gi-Oh! Was just making stuff up on the fly, and the card game is meant as a simple vehicle to tell a story about its characters. They played the card game like 2 times before Duelist Kingdom, but still, no life points? That just feels wrong. There's also a lot of things that will take regular Yu-Gi-Oh! Veterans by surprise.
No life points is stupid. It's good that they added the no life points, because you can imagine how long a duel would realistically be if the whole point of the duel is for both of you to run out of cards in your decks. Like, that shit would take forever. It'd be like 1 hour long duels.
Tons of cards are given completely different attack and defense values from their originals. And because artwork was primarily based off of the manga, they had to use old designs and guess on the colors.
Ooh, Summon Skull looks
My personal
crazy.
favorite is probably Summon Skull, who has become a giant hunk of pink meat. Ugh. There were also a handful of monsters that were completely unique to either the card game or the Toei anime, to this day, never to be reprinted in any other Yu-Gi-Oh! Source. And perhaps my favorite little piece of trivia for this game is that it was somehow the debut of some of the game's most iconic cards, even before they came out in the manga.
True, the
No
Red
matter
Eyes
how
Black
bad
Dragon.
or how broken this game is, it will always have the first Red Eyes ever, and that is kind of amazing. It's not a surprise ending that a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game is going to take over. But what may be a surprise to some of you is how it all went down. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was slowly gaining ground in popularity as a franchise, and sticking with the card game theme was definitely helping. But what really launched them into the stratosphere in Japan was a different licensed property: the video games. See, trading card games were still very young in Japan in early 1998, with only 2 major success stories at this point. There's a reason that the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga chapter with cards introduces Magic and Wizards as a hit game in America, with a small following in Japan. But you know what was mainstream in Japan? Video games. Especially video games about monsters. So when Konami got licensing rights to publish Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games, their first game didn't even have to be about cards to be a big hit. Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule Breed and Battle released for the PlayStation in July of 1998, and it was a modest success in Japan, selling over 250,000 copies. Its core mechanic was a lesser focused game of the week from the manga, the tactical Capsule Monster Chess. Konami also began doing a little sneaky merchandising move. They made Yu-Gi-Oh cards! No, not those cards, and not those cards, but different foil promotional cards that also looked a lot like the ones from the manga. Each game came with a set of 3
Bro, they released another set of different looking Yu-Gi-Oh cards? So how much money would it cost to get these? You saw that Blue Eyes?
cards, which, if you've bought any physical Yu-Gi-Oh game before, might sound like a pretty familiar trend. But Konami's real magic wouldn't happen until a week
I have never seen that Karibo card. Where is that Karibo card? In what set? Is that a Christmas Karibo card? You said I want that Blue Eyes? I'm not gonna lie, man. I kind of want that Blue Eyes too. Is this like a secret rare Christmas Karibo or some shit?
before Christmas in 1998. By then, they had also caught on to the heart of the cards, creating the first Yu-Gi-Oh card video game for the Game Boy, simply titled Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. It's one of the absolute oldest titles published for the original non-color Game Boy, and that did not matter one bit. It was an overnight sensation, selling 600,000 copies in its first week and ending up with over 1.5 million sales in Japan alone. It's in the
wasn't that the card that you got if you beat Pegasus in Duelist Kingdom? That was like the card where it's like you're rich. You could like cash in your money.
15 bestsellers in Japan for
There's
Game
a
Boy
Karibo
games
deck?
of all
Really?
time, even outselling the Pokemon card game for Game Boy in its home country. It was simple, and kids loved it. It wasn't quite the rule set for Yu-Gi-Oh that we know today, but it was a whole lot closer with life points, direct attacks, face-down monsters, and all. And of course, it came topped with 3 more Konami Yu-Gi-Oh promo cards for good measure. This single game changed Yu-Gi-Oh's destiny forever. And it's not like Konami came out of nowhere. They were a regular sponsor of the Toei anime as well. They bought in. It sounds overdramatic, but I think Konami got Yu-Gi-Oh's card game merchandising rights overnight, before the clock even turned to 1999. Because just 3 months later, Konami's physical Yu-Gi-Oh card game was released in Japan, with a brilliant multi-pronged strategy.
Wow.
For one, their card game was titled the Yu-Gi-Oh Official Card Game, still known today by us as the OCG, separating it from any other card products that might have been out there. It also rolled out with a variety of release formats, including booster packs, promotional boxes, decks, and get this, Bandai's own card-ass vending machines. Now, it would be a lie to say that Konami's game was a masterpiece compared to Bandai's at launch. It still launched in a very bland and unbalanced state, but it had actual rules, some structure, and a video game that you could play with matching mechanics. Complete with star chip prompts, it let you feel like you were actually reliving the games of the manga's Duelist Kingdom arc, and that went a long way. Yu-Gi-Oh's anime would eventually undergo a similar branding shift, with a complete focus on the card game made with the new studio starting in the year 2000. But Bandai's card game technically didn't even make it to the end of the Toei anime. Like we've mentioned, it released from the start to the finish of that original 27-episode TV run. But they still got one final release, a 30-minute movie that dropped March 6th, 1999 during the Toei Anime Fair event. And just guess who was waiting in the movie theater for kids to buy on their way out.
This place is an outdated joke, but then so are you, so I suppose it fits.
I think Bandai in many ways learned their lesson about taking card games seriously, because immediately afterward, they turned around and produced the successful and long-running original Digimon card game, while still running the official card games for huge Japanese properties today. Still, I've wanted to dig this old relic up since mentioning it a couple years ago. And even though it kinda stinks, you guys know me, there's nothing I would rather do than deep dive into the stinkiest games from my beloved childhood franchises. It's just what we do here.
That's cool.
It isn't easy to say this, but I just wanted to say thank you to Kazuki Takahashi for dreaming up this magical little gaming universe. He tragically passed away last month, and I hope that his friends and family are all able to find peace. I've loved his stories, his characters, and most of all, his pure joy and passion surrounding all things gaming. It had a very obvious, profound impact on me growing up, and he's a huge part of the reason that I'm still here talking about my love of all things gaming.
My sister
with
has
you
that
guys.
figure.
Rest
That's
in
dope.
peace.
That's dope.
As always, thank you guys for joining in on my love of digital and physical games by watching these silly videos. I'll see you guys next time with some more gaming nonsense.
That was a great video. Those Dark Magician cards look awesome. Now I feel like opening up Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But my problem is I gotta finish some sets. Cause, well, what was that set? I was trying to finish the Battle of Chaos set. I never, ever, ever ended up getting the secret Dark Magician, and I think I opened up over 6 boxes. Sad. I ended up getting the freaking secret rare of the Illusion of Chaos, or whatever the fuck his name is. I think I still have the cards right here. This bullshit. You said, I think that set was bad. I mean, hey, you can think what you want, man. Still, I wanted to get the Dark Magician cards. Like, I got majority of them. I'm still missing a few of them, but I got like majority of the cards from this set. Bro, I'm so mad. Like, I got one Illusion of Chaos, and then the rest of them is just like, I got cooked. I think like all the secrets except the freaking Blue Eyes machine. There was like a Blue Eyes car. It's stupid. You said, did you have that Yu-Gi-Oh hat on the whole time? Yes. Unironically, yes, I had this Yu-Gi-Oh hat on the whole time. The whole time I had this hat on. People in the chat probably think I just put it on. I'm like, nah, I had it on the whole time. The Blue Eyes Jet, yup. I never got that card. I don't know how the hell I didn't get that card. But it's just unfortunate. You said I made a ton of decks during COVID's peak. Oh yeah.